Good morning or afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I am the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I'd like to welcome everybody to the webinar today. Today's webinar is the first webinar in a month-long series of BNI Connect training that is aimed towards especially new members and some of our friends that are going to be migrating into BNI Connect from the countries of Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. And this is really the first step of getting connected on BNI Connect. And we're going to be talking today about completing your profile. Essentially, your profile is a big piece of the VCP puzzle. So if everybody knows what VCP is, V stands for visibility. In other words, in order for people to be able to refer you business and for you to be able to make money in word of mouth networking, you need to be visible to people. People have to know that you're there. The next part of it is credibility. So it's not enough for people to know that you're there, but they have to also trust you. That's where the credibility comes in. Now, if you take those two things together, visibility plus credibility, that will lead to profitability, where we're actually making money for our businesses in this word of mouth process. Now, BNI Connect is just one tool in the arsenal of BNI that can help you to become profitable. But it's really important because for the first time in, well, forever in the history of BNI, we're all on the same platform. That means that we can reach beyond the walls of our chapter and look out to other people in the BNI world, whether they're overseas or whether they're just across town. And we can look for people to have referral relationships with that may not be represented in our chapter, or maybe they're just in a place where we might have family or friends that we can refer that business to in another place. So as people are looking for you in BNI Connect, and as you're looking for other people in BNI Connect, it's important to make sure that we put our best face forward so that we're building that VCP right away. And that's what today's webinar is going to do. We're going to talk about that, how to do it, where it shows up, and how to keep it updated as well. So before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping things. The first of which is that this is a live webinar. So the beauty of that is that you can ask as many questions as you want to as we're going through the content today. The easiest way to ask a question is to actually type it in. You should see a questions panel in this GoToWebinar software. If you type your question in, I will see it pop up on my screen. I will be able to then answer your question as we're going through the material today. Or if it's completely and totally unrelated, we can talk about that other stuff at the end. We're scheduled for approximately 30 minutes worth of content. I try to keep it down to 30 minutes, so that way if you have other appointments to get to and you have your own busy business schedules to adhere to, and even for us here on the East Coast, it's 3 in the afternoon, so we're ready to almost start our weekend. We can get off to whatever it is that we need to do on time. That being said, this is what I do all day, every day, and if you do have any questions and we go beyond the half hour, I am always happy to stay on these calls until every single question is answered. This webinar is being recorded. You'll be able to find it on the support site. You can go to support.bniconnect.com, or if you're logged into BNI Connect, click this question mark in the upper right-hand corner. That will take you over to the support site. Once here, you'll see our list of upcoming webinars. And if you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see our recorded webinars. They're segregated out by month in chronological order, so you can just click on one of them and see all the webinars that happened that month. All right, so let's get started with this today. And again, we're going to be talking about your profile. Now, especially for us here in the United States, there's at least 3 distinct public websites where your profile is going to show up. So Steve's saying my screen is out of focus. Let me see if I can zoom that in for you a little bit. Does that look a little bit better there, Steve? All right, so there's 3 distinct places where your profile is going to show up on the public websites. And again, here in the United States, we have a country level website. We have BNIamerica.com. And if I go to BNIamerica.com, there's a bunch of information about all the regions and chapters in the United States. But let's say that I just go to find a member. And let's say that I'm going to do a search. Now, of course, you can always search by name. That's the easiest way to search. So I'm just going to do a search by my name, Jeremy Walsh. And the first exact match here is my record from BNI Wakefield in Rhode Island, where I am a member. And this is the profile that shows up. And you can see here, it has my picture. It has my contact information. It has my website, my address, all of my social media links, the ability to send me a message, which will send me an email. It has my business, my logo, my business description. It even has a little video embedded here within the My Business description. And then we have what's called the TOPS profile. Who's my ideal referral, my top product, top problem, things like that. So this is one place that you can find it. But now each region, so I happen to be in the Rhode Island region. And here in the Rhode Island region, we have a regional website as well that's separate from BNIamerica.com. So if I go to BNIRI.com, and let's say I'm poking around and I do find a member here, and let's say I'm looking for computer repair, and here's my name, Jeremy Walsh. And again, it's the same profile, just not zoomed in. So we have the profile, it has the same information, the social media stuff, the video, the TOPS profile. Now, in addition to that, my chapter has a website up here on BNI RI, and that's bniri.com/Wakefield. And this is just a plain old default chapter website. We really haven't done too much to it, although they are editable. And if I go to the chapter members here, and I click on my name, again, this is a third place that, and it's a unique URL, but a third place that my profile is appearing out there on the internet. So anybody doing a Google search, so for example, if I go to Google and I do a search for, let's say, Jeremy Walsh BNI, here's the first one that pops up is this BNI Wakefield, which is my profile here, and it actually pops up before a LinkedIn profile. So those are the public profiles. Now, if I log into BNI Connect, there's a profile here as well, and you can search for and connect with any member around the world here in BNI. If I click on the magnifying glass here, this is the global directory search that allows me to search all of the members here in BNI around the world. And if I do a search for myself, or I could do a search for computer repair in Rhode Island or something like that, here, once again, is my record, and this is the internal record. So this is kind of like after you've already logged into LinkedIn or logged into Facebook. So you get to see more information about the members. Now you'll see that the profile is broken into a bunch of tabs that shares information about me as a member. The first thing you'll see is all my different roles that I play here in BNI, all the different hats I wear. It'll show you my name, my industry, my business description, and again, here we go. There's the video again. It has the same information. You fill it out once and it goes to a bunch of different places. It also displays my keywords, so you can actually see the other things that I'm looking for. My company name, my logo, again, all of my contact information. When you're logged into BNI Connect, you can choose if you want to share your email address and the rest of your social media information. But on the inside, we also have more information that we're sharing. For example, we have the Bio tab, where we can share weekly presentations. Now, why would you want to share weekly presentations? Well, there's 170,000 members in BNI Connect. Chances are 169,950 of them will never be at one of your chapter meetings. This is a great way to share a weekly presentation with them, even though they'll never hear you say one live at your meeting. We also have the gains profile. You can read up on somebody's gains and do a gains exchange before going to a one-to-one with them. And then there's also the tops profile. But wait, there's more. We can also see the connections. So you can actually click through to the connections that people have and then see their connections. So you can look through all the people that people are connected with and possibly connect with them as well. Then there's also the testimonials on the thumbs up. You can read the credibility building things that people are saying about each other. There's also a photo sharing library. Up here you can just share whatever photos you'd like to that are appropriate. You can even use this spot to share things like client testimonials or just shameless pictures of your children. And then we also have the groups. BNI Connect has a number of discussion groups that you can participate in. And finally, your training history, which again is another big credibility builder. So how do we update all this information here in BNI Connect? Well, let's go back to the home page here. And on the home page, there's a couple of different ways to get into your account in order to be able to update all of that information. The first way to get in there is to click on this link right here. It says Update Profile, My BNI Page. In the upper right-hand corner, you can also click on Options, My Account. Both of those things will take you to the same place. So once you're here, you'll notice that your profile is set up in a number of tabs as well. We have the main profile, we have the user profile, we have the contact details, the account settings, the bio. If you're a director consultant, you'll also see a director profile, and finally, your training history. So let's take a look through each of these tabs and see what kind of information we can upload into each one. So the first tab here, again, is your main profile. Here's going to be your basic information, your name, your company name. Now, in the United States here, we don't really need to pay attention to registered tax office or VAT reference number. However, those things are fields that you need to legally put in some other countries. But again, here in the United States, we can just leave those blank. It'll also display your industry, classification, and chapter. Now, if any of the above information is incorrect, most of that stuff can't be changed directly by you. For example, the industry and classification has to match what's on your physical application. So in order to change those, please contact your chapter leadership team or your director consultant or your regional administrator, and they can help you with that. On this first tab, the things that we want to pay attention to are the My Business and the keywords. Now, the My Business description, again, that's what's going to show up in the My Business on your profile. So again, let me just go up to bniri.com, Wakefield, and I'm going to take a look at the chapter members, and again, look at My Profile. Now, the My Business is this section here in the kind of slate blue gray area. And again, that's what's going to be here. Now, one thing about the My Business description is that it will accept HTML markup. So you can see that I put things in bold and I put paragraph spacing and things like that. Now, some of that's a little bit advanced, but you do have the ability to do that. But more importantly, embedding a video in here is possible as well. And it's actually easier than you might think. The way to embed a video is that you do have to capture that video and store it on some type of a public video site, such as YouTube or Vimeo. So shoot a 60-second or 30-second video explaining your business, maybe even on your cell phone. Create an account on YouTube and upload it. So for example, we have our YouTube account for BNI Connect. It's youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. which is where we have a number of our videos uploaded. Once you have it uploaded, go into the video, and what you'll see is a share button. There's 3 different ways to share. You can just copy and paste a link, embed it, or email it. What we want is the embed code. We want to embed this video into a website. Now we can just copy and paste this code and put it in there, but actually 420 by 315 is pretty big, so we may want to make that just a little bit smaller. And let's make this maybe about half that size, so 200. Now I can copy this code, and all I need to do is to copy and paste that code somewhere into the My Business description. Once I click update, that will now be updated. Now the keywords are really one of the key factors to getting found in BNI Connect. The keywords will allow people to find you when they don't know your name. And probably 95% of the searching that's going to be done on the regional website, on the national website, and within BNI Connect between members is going to be done by things like, I'm searching for a plumber in Massachusetts, or I'm searching for a massage therapist in Florida. When people do a search, it is going to search by the various fields in the database, such as your industry and classification, as well as your address and your business address. However, they may not be exactly what you do, or they may not be descriptive enough. One thing to keep in mind is that BNI Connect is a database, and it is a database search that's being performed. You may want to put things in like, for example, let's say that you're a bookkeeper, and your industry and classification may say accounting and bookkeeping services. Well, if somebody does a search for bookkeeping, well, they'll find you okay because bookkeeping is in your classification. But let's say that somebody does a search for bookkeeper. Well, they're not necessarily going to find you because that's not anywhere in the description. What you want to do is make sure that you add bookkeeper into the keywords, and or any other services that you may provide. Maybe you're QuickBooks certified. You might want to put QuickBooks, and you might want to put certified within your keywords. The keywords is also good for things such as locations. As I said, we're doing a database search. So when somebody does a search for, let's say, Rhode Island, they're going to find me in Rhode Island. Now, Rhode Island is a really small state. It's only 20 miles wide by 40 miles high, 800 square miles total. What that means is that most people in Rhode Island that own their own businesses, they tend to do business over the borders into Connecticut and Massachusetts. So if I want to be found for computers in Connecticut and Massachusetts as well, I put in my keywords of those 2 state abbreviations. It works for cities as well. If you'd like to be found in certain cities in your state, you may want to put the name of cities in here. Now, if you make any changes on this page, be sure to click Update. Now, once you click Update, all of those public websites and your profile here in BNI Connect are all updated automatically. So you don't have to republish anything or refresh anything. They're all automatically updated. Now, the second tab is your user profile tab. You can change and create your username. You can make it whatever you'd like to. It does not have to be an email address or anything like that. So you can update your username anytime you'd like to, as well as update your password. Now, the memorable question is used if you forget your password. So make sure you have a question and an answer that you're going to be able to remember. So if you happen to ever forget your password, or let's say that there's somebody in your chapter that's forgotten their password, here's how to reset your password. Go to the login screen for BNI Connect and click on Forgot Password or Username. Type in your email address, and you do need to type in this CAPTCHA code. If you click Find Me, as long as the email address matches, it will then ask you your challenge question. So in this case, it's asking me, what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? So if I can answer this correctly and fill out the CAPTCHA code again, it will then allow me to reset my password. So if there's anybody in your chapter having trouble logging in, you can help them out by walking them through that process. Now you can also choose which language you're going to see BNI Connect in. BNI Connect is translated into about 46 or so different languages and dialects, including about 15 different versions of English. Also, make sure your time zone is correct. And if you'd like to, you can even change your profile image or upload a company logo. So if I wanted to do that, I'm just going to click on, let's say, Change Company Logo. I can click on the magnifying glass to go search for one on my computer. And let's say that I'd like to switch this over to the black logo instead. I can click Save, and now that new logo will be part of my profile. The next tab has all of your contact information, your phone numbers, and your website, and your email address. If you need to update your email address, this is where you do it. So if you happen to switch to, let's say, a Gmail address or a Yahoo address or an AOL address or back to your own company address, this is where you can update it. Now on this page, possibly the most important thing to keep in mind is this very first thing at the top of the page. It says, show me on BNI public websites. Now, if that's checked, you will be found on the public websites. If that's unchecked, you won't be listed on your chapter roster up on your regional or the national websites. You won't be able to be searched and you won't be able to be found. Now, in some cases, such as I know that Wells Fargo advisors and some other financial advisors, they do need to opt out of the public websites. If you do need to do that for either personal reasons or for corporate reasons, the way to do that is to just uncheck this box and you will not be seen on the public websites. Now up here, this is really an admin field that allows administrators to copy and paste your address. The place to update your address is, after you've updated your phone numbers, down at the bottom. You can also add in any number of social media links, and you can choose which of your phone numbers and website and email and things like that are displayed. Now, if you work out of your house, that is absolutely fine. What you may want to do is on your primary address here, the one that's showing up on the regional websites and the chapter websites, you may not want to put the address in. You may want to put in something like by appointment only. Just make sure that your billing address has an actual billing address or a P.O. box that your regional office can send you things if necessary. The next tab has to do with your settings on the inside of BNI Connect. So when people are using the magnifying glass and finding your internal profile, what information would you like to share with them? You can share your entire profile, or you can choose to turn off various tabs of your profile to certain people. So for example, if you never ever wanted your email address to be displayed, make sure that you go to Show My Email To and choose None. Now again, the public websites, we will never ever show your email address. There is a link to be able to send you a message, but it does not share your email address. This is on the internal logged in portion. The rest of this page has to do with notifications and which notifications would you like to receive. For example, with the group posts, so when somebody posts something into one of the group discussions, an email goes out. For example, this notification just came through for a new post that happened in the BNI Connect group from the founder. Now, if you'd like to be notified, if you'd like to get one of these emails every time a new post is added, which is my personal preference, you can choose that, or you can choose a once a day daily digest or a once a week digest. Or, of course, you can choose to opt out altogether. Now, if you are managing or running a group, I highly recommend that you choose either every time or once per day. And finally, the bottom section of this page has to do with the various social media notifications. For example, BNI Connect messages and connection requests. Now, the next tab is your bio tab. So this has your bio, your presentations, your gains profile, and tops profile. The bio is actually the same bio that we've been using for years and years and years in BNI, and it's the bio that your secretary treasurer might hand to you before a keynote or feature presentation in your chapter in order to introduce you. If you fill it out here, then you don't need to worry about that piece of paper when it comes around because we can pull it up electronically. Now, as I said before, you can put weekly presentations in, and this is some great visibility and credibility as people are looking at your profiles. The one thing about this is that the weekly presentations are the other place on your profile that you can put HTML code. I haven't put any in here, but if you wanted to, you could embed a video of yourself giving a 60-second presentation as well. The gains profile, gains of course stands for goals, accomplishments, interests, networks, and skills. And again, we've always been taught, if you think back to your member success program, we're taught that in order to make a one-to-one even more effective, it's a good idea to exchange your gains profile with another person. Now, that used to be done through faxes, and then maybe it started getting done by email. Now all you have to do is look up your one-to-one partner's profile in BNI Connect, and you can read their gains profile while you're waiting to meet with them. And finally, we have the tops profile. The tops profile, this one is important because this is the one that appears up on the public website. So, filling out your profile is probably going to take you a good 20 minutes to a half hour. If you only have 5 minutes and you can only do a couple of things, make sure you start with your My Business, your various social media and other links, and your tops profile. And again, those are the ones that are displaying to millions and millions of people out there on the public internet. As I said, if you are a director consultant, you can put in specific director information. The only place this shows up is on the Contact Us page of the regional website. And finally, you have your training history. Now, the training history is not directly editable by you. If you see that something's missing or the incorrect date or something like that, just give your regional office a call. They can add things on here manually if necessary. But normally, when you attend an event that you signed up for using BNI Connect, once attendance is taken, that will then show on your regional website, on your profile. And that, my friends, is the BNI Connect profile. Now, again, if you made any changes, be sure you click the update button, and they will be automatically updated on all of the websites as well as your internal profile. All right, we are just about at the bottom of the hour. What I'd like to do is to open this up to any questions. Does anybody have any questions whatsoever? I'd be happy to answer those questions at this time. All right, does anybody have any questions? All right, Bob asks, which fields again can have HTML? The only fields that can have HTML code in them are going to be the My Business field and the 2 commercials. So again, if I go to update my profile, my BNI page, right on the first tab here, there's the My Business. So you can put HTML code in here. And then on the Bio tab, in the weekly presentations. Other than that, HTML is disabled in all of the rest of the fields. So good question. Thanks, Bob. All right. While you're thinking of any last minute questions, just a reminder, we do have a whole series of webinars here for the month of May. And our very next webinar is going to be this coming Monday. We're going to be doing a special webinar. As I said, we're having some regions migrate in, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. So we're going to do a special training for secretaries and treasurers this coming Monday. And then the next member webinar is going to be on Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. A good referral for me is to please share these dates with your region, with your chapters, with your fellow members. And finally, we have our YouTube channel where you can go to review all of these, youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. And I would love it if you gave us a like on Facebook, facebook.com/BNI Connect Global. We do webinar announcements and reminders and tips and tricks and all sorts of stuff up here as well. Roberta says, does our profile view on our local website as well? So yes, it should show up on your regional website. So Roberta, where are you from, Roberta? So if you're in one of the, okay, so you're in Annapolis. So Roberta, you'll be coming in to the system later this month. And with that, I believe you probably are on BNI4Shore.com. Is that correct? With Jerry Schwartz. So that website will be moved over to BNI Connect once you guys are migrated over, towards the end of the month. And at that point, your profile will show up on the BNI4Shore site, just like mine shows up on the BNI RI site. And you'll also show up on BNIAmerica.com. Does that help, Roberta? And again, we're really excited to have you guys coming over in a couple of weeks. All right, if there's no additional questions, I'm going to say thank you all and have a wonderful rest of the Friday and have a absolutely wonderful weekend. I know here in the Northeast it's supposed to be about 80 degrees and sunny all weekend, so I'm very much looking forward to that after the winter we had up here. All right, everyone, have a great weekend, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Happy connecting.